So next up, we have David Malmo-Levine. And David Malmo-Levine has been working on cannabis for the last 20 years and also being arrested for it. He is an activist, agitator, educator, and so much more. He doesn't really need an introduction. He can do it all on its own. So here's Mr. Malmo-Levine.
Yes, here we are at a university, which is a building meant to help us learn about various things, including drugs. And it's a good thing that we all don't stop learning about things after 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago. Because if we limited our knowledge to holy books from the past, we could never make airplanes that would take us from Toronto to Vancouver, or speak into microphones, because all of these inventions would not exist. We're here to learn about everything from all sources and be open to information so that we can make the best choices. Now, what I just heard from the last speaker was that Islam prohibits intoxicants. But caffeine is an intoxicant, according to Tabor's Cyclopedic Medical Dictionary, 19th edition. It says right here that on page, I believe it is page 302, it says, caffeine intoxication, the reaction that follows the ingestion of excessive caffeine, usually more than 250 milligrams. At least 5 of the following side effects are experienced: restlessness, nervousness, excitement, insomnia, flush face, gastrointestinal disturbance, muscle twitching, and on and on. So, caffeine is an intoxicant, and Islam does not prohibit coffee. In fact, Islam brought us coffee, pushed it on us, pushed Satan's bean to the 4 corners of the world, where now you see it everywhere, all over campus. Young people are strung out on Satan's bean, caffeinated to the point of intoxication, way over the 250 milligram threshold dose for caffeine intoxication. In fact, I bet some of you were up last night studying high on caffeine. So, is Allah a hypocrite by forbidding for others cannabis or alcohol or aphrodisiacs or cocaine or heroin or poppies or all the other fun drugs out there? I don't think Allah is a hypocrite. I think the forbidding of intoxicants has to be just tweaked a little bit to forbidding intoxication. That means just use it properly. Get the right dose so that you have enough caffeine to keep awake, but not so much that your eyes start going blah, 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 and you can't see anymore. Which is true for all drugs, not just coffee. My favorite philosopher was not Muhammad when it comes to drugs. It was Casanova. Casanova said, "In wise hands poison is medicine, and in foolish hands medicine is poison." See, he didn't forbid all drugs. He just said use them properly. So it's like maybe that should be our approach to every drug. Learn to use it properly. Alcohol, maybe a couple of drinks at a wedding, not such a bad idea. But if you try to have drinking contests, if you drink till you pass out, if you drink till your liver gives up, and you're going to have a bad time. Tobacco, if you grow it organically and you smoke it in rituals of moderation and respect, like the native North American Indians did, sometimes in smoking mixtures with other herbs that cleaned out the lungs like coltsfoot or mullein, sometimes after fasting for 8 days, and then it turned into a hallucinogen like LSD. Tobacco is not bad for you, does not kill you. It's when you grow it in radioactive chemical fertilizers with polonium-210, lead-210, and radium in the fertilizers. It's picked up by the tobacco, and you smoke that in cigarettes, which aren't even tobacco. They're just paper that's been soaking in radioactive tobacco juice. Well, that's probably bad for you, and that's why people get lung cancer and die. And, same with marijuana. If you smoke small amounts of marijuana during high pleasure, low pressure activities, you're familiar with the dose, you're familiar with the activity, it's actually a performance enhancing substance. It makes a minute feel like an hour, but that can be good if you're a professional snowboarder and you want more time to react to things. For me, I play hacky sack better after a puff of cannabis. It allows me to focus. It keeps me relaxed, hungry, and happy. Allows me to avoid road rage if I'm driving, and so forth and so on. In fact, you can go down the list of each drug, and except for maybe thalidomide or some of those other nasty synthetics like Effexor, except for a few synthetics, you can probably learn how to use each and every drug properly. And I think if Allah exists at all, that's what He'd want us to do, is to learn how to use these drugs properly. And I think a sensible drug policy would encourage the sensible use of drugs and remove these prohibitions that do nothing but create a huge police state and a prison state, create a system where we hire half the population of the world to guard the other half in prisons, create a situation where young women are basically raped at the border if they look suspicious, if they have dreadlocks, or if they are the wrong color of skin, and the border guard wants to investigate their crevices for plant substances. We avoid a situation where we overregulate industrial hemp. And right now, to be a hemp farmer, you gotta buy the seeds from the same dude every year. And the seed costs for Canadian hemp farmers run into the millions of dollars because of this overregulation of hemp due to the drug war. To be a hemp seed breeder, you need 10 years of apprenticeship under another breeder and a science degree. It's easier to be a brain surgeon than a breeder of hemp seeds. That's due to the overregulation of hemp from the drug war. And as a result of this, we are killing ourselves as a species with oil wars, climate change, BP oil spills. All of this is unnecessary. Hemp ethanol could replace gasoline 6 times cheaper at the pump. $500 would turn any gas-powered car into a hemp ethanol-powered car. An hemp ethanol spill would just evaporate, so there'd be no more oil spills anymore. You can grow hemp in sand and reclaim desert regions, so there'd be no more oil wars anymore because any country could grow their own fuel. And hemp acts as a carbon sink. It puts 30% of the CO2 back into the soil every year in the form of roots and leaves. So just to reiterate those points, no more oil wars, no more oil spills, no more climate change, 6 times cheaper at the pump. That's hemp ethanol. But we can't have hemp ethanol because of the overregulation of hemp due to the drug war. So we're killing ourselves with our freedoms that we no longer enjoy. The freedom to do what we want with our own bodies. The freedom from scapegoating. The freedom to be a harmless individual, not harm others, and avoid getting persecuted. We're killing ourselves environmentally because we don't have hemp plastic and hemp fuel and hemp paper and hemp cotton, even though we have the legalization of hemp. And we're killing ourselves economically because 150 years ago, 7 out of 10 jobs were agricultural jobs. Now it's less than 2%. If we're looking for great jobs with no bosses and lots of good money, high-value medicine crops are the way to go. We could employ a lot of people. The world spends $1 trillion on pills right now. Half of those pills, according to some researchers, could be replaced with cannabis medicine when it is fully researched. And most of the rest of the other half of those pills could be replaced with herbs. And the only reason they're not is because we don't research medicine according to what is safe and effective. We research medicine according to what can be patented. That determines where the research money goes. So, if we're looking to get people off welfare, we should legalize pot and encourage everybody to grow a little bit of it. And the people will at least supply themselves with their own medicine or be able to afford a few more groceries every month. And the people who are good at breeding and growing cannabis will do very well. And then drug companies like Merck and Bayer and Fraser will have to earn their money instead of enjoy a monopoly on medicine and basically prohibit their competition from existing as they do today. Now, I encourage people to get involved with the cannabis movement because it is the future of medicine, it's the future of freedom, it provides us a pathway out of scapegoating, of harming the harmless. It is much more important to legalize cannabis than any other environmental step we could take because it leads to so many reductions in pollutions and toxic waste, and it ends the oil wars that we're continuing to have in the spots in the world where there remains some petroleum. There's nothing more important than you can do on planet Earth than to help legalize cannabis. And there's no more important step you can do for freedom than to legalize all drugs. Heroin and cocaine should probably not be available in a vending machine, but we can make them available by prescription, just as we do with other hard synthetic drugs that are basically their equivalents. Are there any questions? Anybody have a question? Okay, I will end on this note. Moses and Jesus were pot dealers. You may hear more about that when Chris Bennett comes to speak. But Jesus was a pot dealer. If you have a New Testament, you can look it up yourself in Mark 6:13. He sent out his apostles to heal with holy anointing oil. And the recipe for this anointing oil is in Exodus 30:23. Calls for 9.5 pounds. Back then they called it 250 shekels of canna balsam, fragrant cane. And that's what cannabis really means. Canna means cane, and bis or balsam means stinky stick. That's what cannabis is. You're smoking the stinky stick. And Jesus Christ, that's his last name, Christ, was soaked in this holy anointing oil. That's what the word Christ means. Christ is Greek, and Messiah is Hebrew for the anointed one. Jesus Christ was the anointed one. The anointed one was anointed with this holy anointing oil. So Christians are the people who worship the guy with the pot oil all over him. And the Jews are waiting for the next guy with the pot oil all over him to come help save the world. So I encourage you to immerse yourselves in cannabis and help us save the world. So if you want to learn more about the marijuana movement, we're having a little get-together called 420. It's at the Vancouver Art Gallery on April 20th. I've got posters there if you want a free poster. Come on out. We will have circus performers, live music. We're going to shoot a 3D documentary there. And at 420, we're going to be handing out free marijuana. That's right, you can get free marijuana on April 20th at 420 at the Art Gallery. And it's also a cannabis farmers market. So you can come buy marijuana in the light of day, under the sun, and hold your head up high, and puff tough, loud and proud, and say, "We're here, we're high, get used to us." Just as the homosexuals and lesbian community came out of their closet, you can come out of your grow closet and proclaim yourself to be a high-functioning individual that simply has an intelligent preference for a cheaper, safer, and more effective stimulant, relaxant, euphoric than the drugs that are pushed on you by the corporations. So that's all I really wanted to say. If you have any questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, come get a poster, learn more about the pot movement, get involved, and keep puffing that sticky, icky, icky.